Hi there, this should be pretty quick. I don't have a lot to say. Technical reports are sort of what they are. They're a way in this project for you to put something up on your website that will give the technical people, other technical people who might be involved in implementing your recommendations, the support in the background they need in order to make that stuff happen, make it work. So there's a lot of ways to lay these out. There's different kinds of technical reports, technical backgrounders, just whatever. But I try to make it as simple as possible, largely because we don't have a lot of time. I'll show you some examples of things that were done for other classes. But this is a very simple outline for technical report. Has a cover page, an abstract, and I'll go over all this again in just a second. But an abstract is like a little summary, and it's the very last thing you write. You put the main points of the problem that you're looking at, and then all the subheads for the discussion. And if nobody reads anything other than that, the non-technical people, for example, will read this and be very happy with it. Okay, I'm fighting with my cat to keep him from getting in front of the camera. Okay, so the abstract is very short. It's always less than 500 words. For these reports, it may be even shorter than that. That's sort of up to you. Table of contents, again, I'll show you how to lay this out. There's no one right way to do it. But the main parts of it would be these three sections, the introduction and objectives, if you want to do objectives. What's the topic? Why is it important? What do you want this report to do? That kind of stuff. But pretty simple, pretty short. The discussion is the heart of it, really, because this is where you get into the various sections of it. And each one of these could be a subhead. You could have subheads within subheads. There's a lot of different ways to lay this out. So you give the background of the topic, problems associated with it, previous attempts to solve the problem, one way to do it. And this is where all the research that you did and the summaries that you wrote and the extended definitions and then whatever else you did, tables, charts, graphical, imagery support for this stuff. It all goes in here, laid out whatever way you want it to be laid out. But it essentially touches on these three areas: the background, the problems, and the previous attempts or other people's attempts to deal with it, how it's been dealt with in the past. And then conclusions, obviously, what did you draw from all of this research, everything you looked up, and what recommendations do you have for your company or for the potential clients that you're proposing to? And then the reference sources. Now, there's an example in Perusall in the technical report that you're going to be reading. This is one way to lay it out. Let me go over there. I'll show you. This is the whole thing. This is the one that almost a lot of people use, and it's fine. But it really, don't have to worry about a cover letter or a cover page. Okay, we're not doing that. The abstract and executive summary are pretty much the same thing. Here's a cover page. It's got everybody's, here's the title of it, submitted to me, and then all your names in here. Now they've got a little bit of an executive, like a little summary thing, executive summary, but you don't have to do if you don't want to. All right. Table of contents, different heading levels, which I'll show you. Basic sections of the paper. So that's one example on Perusall. Another one, which I like, is over here in this section right here, or this link right here, which is, as a matter of fact, this link right here. And again, don't have to worry about this stuff, but look at these, sort of the 8 points to include. It's the same thing that I've got. Title page or cover page. And then this website also goes over some specifics of what could be in each one of them. Don't have to look too much at the graphics, but this descriptions are quite good. The abstract of it, the table of contents, and the reason I'm showing you this is it's got different ways you can do out the table of contents. Don't get too, this little thing is going to tell you, don't get all crazy with the 2.1s and the 2.2.1s. It's not necessary. This thing you're writing is not that long, not that complicated. So figure out a table of contents. Sort of once you get the thing written is really the easiest way to do it. Then the introduction talks about the objectives. Again, doesn't have to be too long, but it sort of talks about the importance of the topic. Don't have to worry about this stuff. The body is divided into sections, and And you can number them if you want to, or subheads, or however you want to do it, whatever way looks good to your group. This is just one sample of technical report. This one is based on research that's being done, experiments, stuff that's being done on the site. Don't worry about that. You just have sections. It's a logical, as it says, a logical step-by-step order of the information that you've got. Conclusion, again, summaries, recommendations, and that kind of stuff. And then a bibliography, a reference section, or information sources is another way to talk about it, which is just everything you looked at, grab the bibliographic information and put it here. So that's another one. And I like this little site a lot because it's very simple. Now the Purdue OWL has got a section on technical documents. This little PowerPoint they've got here. Its practices of the sciences, headers, spacing, just some basic layout design, tables and charts, refer to them in the text. It's always great to have stuff like that in one of these technical reports because that's what the technical people like. I'll tell you, so here's an example of it, and more. All right, purposes for writing clearly, which you already should know. I hope you know. Start with familiar information and go from there in each of the sections. Language to create connections. So it's all pretty straightforward stuff. One thing that I hadn't talked about really is starting the little each one of your sections with like a little mini introduction. You say what this section is all about. Just give us that road sign. It's like topic sentences that you learned about in English 1101. Same thing, right? So it's your source guide, and it also is helpful for putting together that abstract when you get done with it because each one of those topic sentences should essentially say what this section of the report has got in it. So if you put all those topic sentences or little mini introductions together, you'll essentially have your abstract once you sort of clean up the language of it. Verbs, and then they've got resources here too. So the Purdue OWL's got some resources for you too. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things from one of another instructor's classes. But there was a 15-week term, so they had a long time to write these things, so don't freak out. You all don't have that much time. But here's one. This was on 5G coverage. And it's very long because it's got all kinds of stuff. But what I wanted to show you is how they laid it out. Right. So here's the first section, the first problem that they looked at. Again, you do not have to make it look like this, which is why I'm not putting a link on the website. Do it your own way. But the way they've laid it out with this head, and then, all caps, and then the first major subhead is just bold, and then the next little subhead to this one is in italics. So we can see the hierarchy of the things that they're doing now. Again, theirs is very long, and there's a lot of stuff in it. And you don't have to go to that length, but it's good to think about how you want the logic of the layout to go. Okay, so they have a lot of different sections talking about a lot of different information, indoor, outdoor, whatever. Okay, so it's very long. They do have solutions, and then have conclusion and recommendations. So again, you can sort of see how long these things can be. There's another one from the same class. It's not an abstraction, it's an abstract, by the way. Okay, and this, we don't have to worry about all this stuff. So here's the results of what they looked up. But again, they don't have a lot of subheads that have subheads. They just have these different sections talking about the individual topics that they think are important to know for this particular this problem, this issue. Okay, so your subheads can be as simple as just one and then talk about it. It doesn't have to have a lot of subheads that have subheads. Right? Again, it depends on how deeply divided up you want this information to be. I suspect yours will probably look more like this one than it did the other one, just because, again, of the time factor, it being the summer. But I did want you to see a couple of examples of very long and complicated ones. So that's really it in terms of technical documents. just decide, what your sections are, lean on this thing, and figure out how many, how many areas you want to be talking about within each one of these uh, particular divisions. Okay, so that's really all I got to say. If you have questions, hit me on Slack, and just keep on going. This will get, once again, this is going to end up on your project website. They have a little separate section on the website for the technical report. So that's where it ultimately is going. It's ultimately for the technical people, either in your company or the company that you're proposing to have as background for whatever implementation you want to recommend to them. So, okay, so check with me if you've got problems, and keep on going.